Got a light?
Yeah, got a light. Oh, I got that one too.
Oh my goodness.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Ghostwood, the Twin Peaks
Hello.
podcast. I'm Charles Skaggs. With
I'm
me is
Xan Sprouse.
she's Xan Sprouse, and we're here to talk about The Return Part 8. And if you saw The Return Part 8, which is presumably why you're listening to this episode of Ghostwood, you know that we have a lot to talk about because, holy crap.
Do you have that soundbite? Sheriff, we got a lot to talk about.
We got a lot to. I don't have that one.
We need that one.
I don't have that one. But yeah. So
That'd be a good one for this episode. Do you mind telling me what the hell is going on?
well, let's see. Oh, I don't have that. Oh, I thought I had the other one. You know that there was a quote that I sent you today, or no, it wasn't you. It was somebody else. I'm sorry. Where. Gordon, this was like a few episodes back, and he was going like, I hate to admit this, but I don't understand the situation at all.
At all.
Yeah. Which I thought was a great quote. So that would have been a good one. But yeah, so The Return Part 8, needless to say, this is David Lynch going full David Lynch.
Like to paraphrase Homer Simpson for a second, this is the lynchiest Lynch that ever lynched.
Yes. I thought you were going to do the other Simpsons quote where he says, where he's actually watching Twin Peaks.
Brilliant! I have no idea what's going on. That's a good one, too.
I have no idea what's going on.
And what was funny about that scene was that made total sense to people who watch Twin Peaks. It was the giant dancing with the horse under the traffic light at Sparkwood in 21. We're like, oh, this makes sense. We know what this is.
Yeah, this is no problem. But I don't know what Homer's on about. But
I don't know what his problem is.
But yeah, that feeling back then that most people had watching Twin Peaks is a lot like the feeling we're having now watching Twin Peaks.
It's very much what is going on. And like I've said before, when it comes to David Lynch, sometimes you just have to sit back and just watch.
Yeah.
Don't try to... The only thing you should be allowing your brain to do for these kinds of David Lynch projects is remember.
Yeah.
You need to be observant and you need to remember what you see. Otherwise, you just need to watch. Don't sit there and try and figure it out. Don't sit there and try and nitpick it. Okay, you can do that subsequent viewings, but initially just watch and let it happen.
Yeah, I was just going to say, that just reminded me of that Cooper quote about presents. Like every day, give yourself a present. Don't think, just let it happen. Just let it happen. Yeah, exactly. But yeah, I'm pretty sure this was the reaction, and this is my last soundbite for this episode. This was pretty much the reaction of everybody watching.
I think I know what your soundbite's
I'm sure.
be.
I'm sure you do. I think I'm high.
I don't know where I am.
Isn't that the best?
Oh my gosh, he's so good.
Yeah, he is. Isn't that the best? I just love playing that one. I think I'm high. That's a great one. I love that one. So yeah, that was pretty much everybody's reaction, I'm sure. But if you actually sat and watched that, we got some actual important information out of this episode.
We did. This episode started in a very linear fashion.
Yes.
It started just where we left off with the previous episode with Doppelganger Cooper and Ray driving off. And
they're leaving that Black Hills prison.
Yep, they're leaving the prison.
They got, where they got the Doppelganger Cooper talked, or basically blackmailed the warden into giving them a car to drive off
because of whatever Mr. Strawberries has on the warden.
With a friend,
we still don't know who.
Yes.
Yeah, we still don't know who Mr. Strawberry is.
I don't think we're going to find out who Mr. Strawberry is.
I don't think so,
because I don't think we really need to know who Mr. Strawberry is. The implication was there, but
yes,
yeah. But there was also a friend in the glove compartment as requested.
Not very good friend, though.
Not really. No, not as good as Doppelganger Cooper might have liked.
Not as good as Ray's friend.
Yeah, exactly. Ray has much better friends, let's put it that way.
Yes, he does. And that's the thing. They're driving through the night in a scene that is very Lost Highway.
Yeah, David Lynch loves to, like, roads and highways at night where all you can see is just, in front of you is just what the headlights show.
And I think that's wonderful because especially in this episode, it was so dark and so...
creepy.
You couldn't
ominous.
See where they were going. Yeah, it's very effective. So they're driving along and they're just lying to each other. You know, he's saying, "Oh, Daria's waiting for our call," and we already know that Daria's dead. And
that's a
Ray's
huge
to
lie.
him. And so turns out that Ray has the coordinates that Doppelganger Cooper needs, but Ray. Thinking that...
And he has them memorized perfectly.
Yeah, not written down. It's not like Cooper can just grab his wallet.
So he's saying, well, you can't kill me because the numbers are up here. Because thinking, you know?
Memorized, a lot of numbers. But then Ray's also thinking, you know, you're worth more to me as a bounty than anything else. I mean, I know you got me out of prison and everything, but I could get like $500,000 if I turn you into the right people. Right.
Which... I think is a big mistake on Ray's part, but maybe not, considering how it worked out.
So they're driving down. They turn off the main road onto this dirt road to go to the farm. And Ray says he has to pee.
Yeah.
So they stop the car. They get out. Cooper gets the friend out of the glove compartment, which, for those of you who aren't paying attention, that is a gun.
Yes.
And comes up on Ray and he says, "I need that information," and tries to shoot him and just click, click, click. And Ray turns around and says, "Yeah, I tricked you, effer."
Yep.
And shoots Cooper twice.
Yeah, just kind of like how in the original episode 8, Dale Cooper, the actual Dale Cooper, was shot twice by...
in the gut. I'd forgotten all about that. You're right. That was the same episode number, wasn't it?
Exactly.
Oh,
and
wow.
By Josie Packard. Nicely. So it was a great little parallel.
That's a hell of a way to kill a wood tick. So he gets shot in the gut. And then this episode starts
and then all hell breaks loose.
And then these ethereal, ghostly creatures come out of the woods who I am referring to as the Dust Vultures.
I thought they were just called the Woodsman because the one character was called a Woodsman.
Right. I was just sort of, like I said to myself, I've been calling them the Dust Vultures because they come out.
That's a cool band name, by the way.
I know, isn't that great? They come out of the woods around where they stopped. And they're these ethereal, moving really fast, kind of see-through.
Presumably they're ghosts.
Yeah, dirty, dusty creatures. And it reminds me...
like that one in the cell.
And the one
wandering the morgue down at...
Exactly.
Where Major Briggs was. Major Briggs' body is.
So. Major Briggs' headless body.
Yes.
So these guys, they come out and, I sort of think of that quote from Something Wicked This Way Comes. Where do you come from? The dust. Where do you go to? The grave.
Ooh, nice.
So these are the Dust Vultures because they look kind of dusty and they come out and they just kind of attack Doppelganger Cooper as he's lying down. They sort of are reaching into the wounds in his belly and spreading blood all over his face and all over his body and just picking at his body, which is why I'm calling them the Vultures.
Right.
So
yeah, they just kind of it's. I mean, Ray is off to the side. Meanwhile, watching this, freaking out, like I have no idea what's going on.
He's just watching this, just completely losing his mind.
Yeah.
So and Ray, when he is losing his mind on the side of the road, kind of looks like Conan O'Brien.
He does.
I just wanted to throw that out there because I was like,
now I'm gonna think about that every time I see that scene.
if Conan were going to imitate this scene, I think it would be hilarious because they kind of look like the same when they were making those
cartoonish faces. Yeah.
Exactly.
All freaked out. But so Ray's freaking out. Yeah, these Dust Vultures, as you like to refer to them, they're just kind of like grabbing into the wound, and you're not quite sure why they're covering Doppelganger Cooper with blood. But then something really interesting happens, and you have to kind of pay attention, otherwise it's a blink and you miss it kind of thing, is that they reach down in there and they pull up like a little sack containing...
Don't show him to me! Charles has just shown me the Funko Pop Bob figure without warning me, which is not a nice thing to do.
I'm sorry.
David Lynch is the only one that is allowed to show me Bob without warning.
Okay, all right. I'll file that away for future reference.
So the Dust Vultures reach into Cooper's gut and pull out a Bob placenta. It's like Bob's smiling face in this placenta-like sack.
Yeah, it's like almost like a Bob silly putty egg. Sort of.
And we see more eggs later in the show. So
that's true.
So they pull this out, and then I can't really see what happens to it. Did you see what happened to it?
The vibe what I thought happened was that they kind of pocket that sack. They kind of take it with them.
See, I couldn't tell if they pocketed it or it went into the ether or...
See, I thought they kind of just like, okay, we're going to take this.
This is ours.
And we're going to leave this body all smeared, covered in blood.
Mm-hmm.
So, later in the episode... Okay, actually, we're kind of getting ahead of ourselves first. Because Ray, after the Dust Vultures leave... He takes off.
He gets the hell out of Dodge.
Exactly. He's like, feet don't fail me now. Does the little Flintstones running...
little bongo drum running noise, and then just gets the hell out of there as fast as he can.
And so, he gets on the road. He calls none other than Philip Jeffries.
He calls somebody in this whole
or at least somebody calling himself Philip Jeffries. We still don't have confirmation that it is Philip Jeffries.
Right. And so he starts saying, I think he's dead. He knows where I'm going. So if he follows me there, I'll get him when he's there.
Right.
And it might shed some light on this whole situation. And
he says the words, I saw something in Cooper. It may be the key to what this is all about.
Yeah, so he knows.
So have they been keeping? Was Ray presumably he's an agent of Philip Jeffries, maybe there to keep an eye on Doppelganger Cooper?
Who knows? Because apparently Ray knows whatever is going on with the Philip Jeffries spirit box and the strange billionaire, and he's all part of that. And it's funny to me because you don't think that a guy like Ray and Daria, who Cooper met up with in this trailer of hillbillies, would be this... They just look like petty criminals. They don't seem like they would be this involved with this intricate of a plot, but apparently that's who they're working for. And why would Doppelganger Cooper get mixed up with them in the first place? Like, what was his business with them initially that he got mixed up with them in the first place? So that is a mystery too.
Because we don't have enough mysteries on this show right now.
We don't have enough.
Yeah, no, we need more. Some more. Yeah.
And this was the part that was upsetting to me, because after we see Ray drive off, we see. Well, no, let's mention this first.
Yeah, we should mention this because we kind of cut away first for a little while. We cut away to the Roadhouse of all places, and
ladies and gentlemen,
yes,
the 9 Inch Nails,
the 9 Inch Nails,
the 9 Inch Nails,
the definitive article, you might say.
Yes. And I get the feeling Trent Reznor can die a happy man now that he's been on Twin Peaks. He always struck me as that
this
kind of
feels like, this is probably one of his lifelong ambitions ever since the show came out in the 1990s.
Exactly. He calls up David Lynch. He's like, Dave, listen,
I gotta be a part of this thing.
I did the soundtrack for that one movie for you, and I want you to put me in the weirdest episode of Twin Peaks you got this return. And David Lynch says, Trent,
10-4, good buddy.
Hold on to your hats.
Hold my coffee.
Yeah, hold my coffee. Here, Trent, hold my beer.
Exactly.
So we see the Roadhouse is a little bit early.
Yeah.
So this is the only Roadhouse we see. There is no Roadhouse at the end of the episode. And it's 9 Inch Nails.
Yep. So say what you will about Jean-Michel. Apparently he's really good at booking acts for the Roadhouse.
I was talking to my friend Troy about this, and I was thinking I feel kind of sorry for these bands. Like, they have to play at this Renault-owned facility, and are they getting stiffed on payment? Is he stiffing them or saying, oh, the crowd wasn't big enough tonight, so you have to pay for your own beers?
Yeah, I'm sure he would be. Yeah, he would be that shady, the venue promoter, or like that. Yeah, there'd be something going on where he tried to weasel his way out of giving them their full cut. Right,
you go to get paid, and his office is locked, and his car is gone, that kind of thing.
So, the money's out in the car. I'll be right back, and then you hear tires squealing as he drives off.
I usually sit in the car and fill out the check on the glove compartment.
Yes,
Blues Brothers.
That's a great reference.
Right.
So yeah, or because they're the 9 Inch Nails, does this mean they're like an alternate reality version of the band? This is how they could afford the 9 Inch Nails, but they couldn't afford 9 Inch Nails?
Possibly. And that's the thing. I mean, 9 Inch Nails, the only thing constant about it is Trent Reznor. So,
yes. Yeah.
So they play a song.
Yeah, she's gone away, and they do that for about 5 minutes.
They do that for about 5 minutes, and then when the song is over, we cut back to Doppelganger Cooper's body.
Yes.
And he sits up.
Right.
And I was excited for a minute because I was thinking what you were thinking, that regardless of what the Dust Vultures did with the Bob placenta, it was gone from Cooper.
So does this mean...
But Cooper's eyes are still black.
Ooh, I hadn't thought about that.
And so I don't know.
You're probably right.
Yeah, I'm really.
But I mean, that had to be a big step to get Bob out of him.
That's the thing. I mean, that's gotta help. And
I was thinking like, okay, if the Dust Vultures are like agents of the Black Lodge, because remember, Bob was supposed to return to the Lodge. Doppelganger Cooper was supposed to return to the Lodge. And he was just like, okay, I'm dodging this. I've created Dougie to throw you guys off the scent.
Right.
So I would think that here's an opportunity. Hey, we've got Doppelganger Cooper. We're going to take Bob and send you back to the Lodge.
Maybe. And if that is the case, then we have 2 Cooper bodies, which... Right. Just lends even more credence to my Dark Crystal theory, where the 2 bodies are going to have to come together as one. But
one of you must die.
Or is this a Harry Potter Voldemort sort of a thing?
Yeah.
But I was upset when I saw that his eyes were still black.
Oh, I totally forgot about that. You're probably right about that.
I don't want to be right.
I was getting so hopeful that, okay, is Cooper back now? Does this it? But probably not.
And I think he would have been...
It seems like we're unfinished with Dougie.
We're definitely unfinished with Dougie.
So, probably not. Oh, well.
I think Dougie is more on the road to Cooper recovery than Doppelganger Cooper is. If for no other reason, Doppelganger Cooper just got shot twice in the belly and was left for dead. And some Dust Vultures came and put their hands in his wounds and spread blood all over him.
Yeah, and apparently that healed him right up.
His body's not doing so well. I mean, granted, they did remove this giant evil tumor that was a Bob placenta, but it's still I don't think it's enough to make him perfectly healthy again. So we'll see how that turns out.
Right. Okay, so at this point, you think, okay, that was interesting. But we then cut to a big flashback sequence. And it's pretty much, it's two flashback sequences, really, that kind of take up the rest of the episode. Because we go back to White Sands, New Mexico, at 5:29 in the morning on July 16th, 1945. And if you're a World War II buff, you probably know
Trinity!
The importance of this date.
Yes. This was the Trinity test, which was part of the Manhattan Project.
Exactly. So this is basically the first atomic bomb test. And we actually get to see the detonation of the first atomic bomb. And hey, doesn't it look a lot like that painting or a photograph, or I think it's a photograph, that's directly behind Gordon Cole's desk at the Bureau?
Yes.
So I'm sure there's a connection there we need to explore.
Like I said, this is an actual historic thing.
Yeah.
On this date at that time was the Trinity test. And
so why is Gordon so fascinated with this? And presumably he knows a little bit more about what really happened that time, or that day.
Well, what happens is we see we hear the countdown. It's a far off shot.
Yep.
And we hear the countdown, and then there's the detonation, and we see the mushroom cloud.
Right. And it's a slow approach as we go inside the mushroom cloud.
For as horrific as a mushroom cloud is, it's a beautiful shot of what we're looking at here.
Right.
So it's the slow moving into the mushroom cloud, which then becomes this ethereal mixture of cloud and water and bits and star stuff, and it goes floating into space, and it becomes clouds and water and stars and anything, and just becomes this ethereal mixture.
Yeah, it's almost like if you've ever watched 2001: A Space Odyssey.
This episode is very 2001.
Right.
Even the
this is totally this is very Stanley Kubrick. Where at the end, where Dave Bowman, he essentially becomes the star child at the end of 2001: Space Odyssey.
Right, and it's even a similar soundtrack.
That whole big psychedelic moment, with all kinds of Doctor Who credit like visuals.
Is it the same music? I didn't even think to look that up until just a second.
It's a different movie. So the actual there's an orchestral piece that plays during the sequence.
And this is that Penderecki piece, right?
Yes, exactly. So yeah, it's by Krzysztof Penderecki. I don't know if it's Penderecki or Penderecki. Spelled Penderecki.
Yeah.
But maybe it's Penderecki. So
which Kubrick has used before. Kubrick has used Penderecki music before.
So it's called Threnody for the Victims of Hiroshima.
Mm-hmm. And it is very eerie sounding, very similar to if you're familiar with 2001: A Space Odyssey, the very end where you have the old man. Yeah. Old man in bed with the monolith at the foot of his bed, and he's pointing at it, and then all of a sudden we have the Star Baby. So it is a very, very similar sounding soundtrack.
Yeah. So very cool. Now we get to see... After all, there's all these surreal scenes, and then we see a floating horned female figure.
This looks to me like the glass box monster.
Exactly, that's what I was thinking. It's like, okay, looks a lot like the creature from the glass box in part 1. So, and I'm kind of wondering, because it did seem like this was a female form.
Definitely female form, and it's a female actress.
Right. So, is this Mother that was hinted at in part 3?
Ooh, good question.
So, because she's essentially like a mother that vomits up these dark spheres of energy.
she vomits this Garmonbozia.
Exactly. So it just spews forth, and one of them.
It's this Garmonbozia that's sort of this ectoplasmic cloud that has little eggs inside of it.
Right.
And the Bob placenta.
Yeah. Don't worry, I won't bring out the Bob Funko figure and freak you out.
Thank you. Please leave him out of the frame of the video. Thank you. Scaring me for no reason.
That's what Bob does.
That's what Bob does. That's what he's here for.
Exactly.
So
essentially what we're seeing is the origin of Bob, presumably.
Well, I have a lot going on in my brain about this. Yeah. Is this the origin of Bob in his current form, or is this Bob? Because as we know from the book, this sort of evil entity that is Bob has been around since Lewis and Clark, right. At least documented since Lewis and Clark. So what was it about this nuclear catalyst that brought Placenta Bob, Frank Silva Bob, out of the sputum of the glass box monster and into Earth? And I'll talk about the rest of my theory in a little bit because it goes a little better with what we see in a few minutes.
Okay. But that's really I think that's really insightful.
Do we want to talk about the gas station?
Yeah, we do want to talk about the gas station. Oh, you mean jumping? Yeah, because we could. Yeah, this is kind of where I was going next. Because there was what we kind of see at this point, we see the Woodsman scurrying out of the nearby gas station with a convenience store.
Convenience store / gas station, and it looks very 1945 with the old pumps.
Right.
And it's the Woodsman Dust Vultures just scurrying around with bright lights blinking, and they're scurrying around.
It's almost like a strobe light effect.
Yeah, it's not like lightning; it's like a strobe light, and it's very similar to how they came rushing out of the woods when Doppelganger Cooper was shot. So I'm not sure what they're doing. And here's my next question.
Right.
Is everything in black and white, 1945? No, I'm serious, because the next scene that we see is, well, first of all, we see more of the explosion mixing with star stuff and fire and water, and it turns into a gold ball.
Right.
Which we'll talk about later. But then it's like this red liquid, almost blood type of looking stuff. So I'm just wondering if the black and white is supposed to indicate time or location.
I think
or is it just a stylistic choice? But David Lynch is never that.
Yeah, I think it was just because
cavalier.
It does kind of give a feeling of the past when you throw that black and white, imagery up. Because color television didn't hit until the 50s.
Right.
So, so it is, and we didn't have color movies until then. So, I take that back. We did have the Wizard of Oz, so stuff like that. So, but it wasn't as widespread. So it does give a feeling of the 40s. The most mainstream full color film at that time was Pinocchio. Yes.
So,
yeah, I think
it was the 30s. So
yeah, that sounds about right. So, we don't really know. And then at this point, we shift to another sequence where we go back, presumably, to that little island in the middle of a purple ocean.
Right, it's this dark, choppy sea, water all around, and then there's this obelisk mountain.
Yeah, it's
Mount Doom. It looks like Mount Doom with a sort of modernish looking, very plain looking building at the top. It almost looks like, speaking of the Wizard of Oz, it almost looks like the Wicked Witch's castle. It's just gray and featureless.
Right. But it also kind of looks like the building where, with the ocean, it's like that what we thought at the time was like a limbo realm. Right. Where as Cooper was starting to leave the Black Lodge before he
meets the eyeless.
Yeah.
He meets the eyeless woman.
Yeah, where he ended up going through the electrical outlet into back to Earth.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Exactly.
So yeah, it's like that kind of transitional realm. But my question is, okay, because we go inside, and there's a woman there whose name is Señorita Dido.
Señorita Dido. Yes.
Yeah, played by Joy Nash.
She's my new favorite thing.
Yeah, I saw your picture.
Joy Nash and Joy Nash specifically, but definitely Señorita Dido those are my new two favorite things. If anybody out there wants to come to my house in October and do that makeup for me so I can go as her,
that would be a great cosplay.
That'd be fantastic. I don't know where I'm going to find that dress, but if you can just do the eye makeup and the hair for me, that'd be great.
It's kind of like old stage Hollywood.
Very much so, which is why, and based on the look of because we go from far away and we pan in toward we pan towards the building that's on top of the obelisk mountain, and it looks like it's featureless except for like one window, but it's almost not even a window. It's like a doorway on a really long hall. Yeah, and you go through this dark hall, and then you're out into this really ornate 30s looking room with a phonograph with the cone. And
so again, we have the phonograph.
Right. So it almost still looks like it's the 40s.
And she's there listening to like old timey jazz.
Mm-hmm.
And there's like this alarm type sound, almost like a gong.
Like a warning.
It's a warning. And we see like this big bell-shaped device. And
we saw one of those on the roof of the box that the eyeless lady was in. And what is her name? Nido? The faceless lady, I think, was Nido.
Something like that, yeah.
And where she takes Cooper up that ladder, and there's one of those things up there, and it almost looks like somebody was starting to make Robbie the Robot but didn't finish him.
Yeah.
It's this shiny black thing with gears and levers and antenna.
It's very David Lynch industrial. Let's put it that way.
It is very David Lynch industrial, and you don't even want to call it steampunk because it's so questionable as to what it actually is.
Yeah, it's abstract.
Right, so that's the thing, that when Cooper got on top of the black box in space with Nido, she pulls the lever and that shoots him away.
Yeah.
So it's another one of those things, and we hear this alarm, and Señorita Dido looks over, and who comes out from behind this thing?
Yeah, so we have the giant, or question mark, question mark, question mark, question mark, question mark.
He's question mark, question mark, question mark, question mark in the credits, but we're just calling him the giant.
It's a lot easier to say, for one
thing. We've always called him that.
Yeah, so we get the return of Carel Struycken, which is great. But so apparently the giant he's tired of the alarm. So he finally comes by rather slowly, turns it off. And we're all grateful for this because it was annoying me at this point.
And they sort of look at each other.
Yeah. And
then he looks out almost like he's looking out through the dark hallway that becomes the window that becomes outer space.
Right.
Like he's looking past the point of view of the camera, down that dark hall, and out into space, out across the sea, like he sees something in that way.
Yeah, so the vibe I got from this part of the scene was that maybe if it is Mother creating evil, or at least this particular evil, this set off the alarm bell. So the giant is realizing, I guess I have to do something about this.
He's like, okay, I got to go take care of this thing. So he walks out of the room.
Got things to do.
And apparently this featureless house on top of this mountain is large and dark and ornate. It almost looks like Norma Desmond would live here.
Right.
He walks
it's very old Hollywood.
It does look very old Hollywood. And he walks out into this room that has a grandiose staircase, another one of those things.
Right.
He goes up the staircase and into a room with another one of those Black Robbie the Robot things, and it's a theater.
Exactly. Like if you here in Columbus, we have this place called the Palace Theater.
Yes, we do.
And it's very much like that. It's a very old time movie theater So it has, these really ornate staircases and, and wall decor and whatnot.
Well, I think, are you talking about the Ohio Theater? That's
I'm sorry, you're right. You're right. The Ohio Theater, yes.
We actually are very lucky enough to have two old theaters like that. One of them being, well, actually three, because we also have the Southern. But yeah, the Ohio Theater here in Columbus, Ohio, is a national landmark. It was initially an old Lowe's movie theater.
Right.
So, and it was built back in the 1920s, and it still has an organ for silent film. And
the Kappa Summer movie series here.
Yes. And it has a giant chandelier. A little bit of trivia. Do you know how much that chandelier weighs?
No.
2.5 tons.
Damn.
Yeah. So it would be a great place to do Phantom of the Opera, but no one wants to clean that up. So.
Yeah, exactly. You better hope that the supports hold. Just saying.
Seriously. So yes, it's a 2-ton chandelier. And if you were to take this, for those of you who have been to the Ohio Theater, if you were to take the seats out of that theater, it would very much look like this room. The ornate carpet, ornate carvings in the walls and in the box seats.
Right.
And a screen where the giant just sort of snaps his fingers and the film turns on, and it's a little flickery, looks like almost like silver nitrate stock film repeat of what we just saw.
Yeah. So he starts watching. Yeah, it's almost like, okay, this is his DVR, and it's like, okay, I'm throwing up the nuclear explosion. Let me go take a look at this, see what's going on.
This Trinity thing that happened.
Yeah. So this might be important. So okay, I'm watching, and then he pauses it at the moment where he sees Bob's image.
Yes.
And he's like, oh.
And he has a couple of different looks on his face that I think you can read a couple of different ways. The first one being when he first sees the explosion, when he first sees the mushroom cloud, the detonation, he's got this look on his face like, oh, what have those monkeys done? It's that kind of look on his face. And then he sees the Bob placenta coming out of the Garmin Bozia of the glass box monster mother. And then his look on his face is like, oh, it just got real.
Yeah. Oh, it's on now.
And so here's where my brain starts working over time. And this is all I've been able to think about for the last 4 days.
Yeah.
When we did the Trinity test and we detonated that atomic bomb.
Right.
Is this a situation? This was my first reaction, but then now I'm sort of thinking something different. My first reaction was, is this an abyss kind of a thing where the otherworldly beings see our destructive nature and said, screw these monkeys. They're not worth it. They're just going to destroy themselves. So let's help them do it. But then I started wondering about the ins and outs of atomic technology.
Yeah.
And when we learned to split the atom, did we split timelines, dimensions, planes, other universes, things like that?
I'm more inclined to believe your second theory, because that's the theory that I was going with, that essentially what we did is we ripped the dimensional fabric, and this is what allowed Mother...
We learned how to split...
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Splitting the atom is essentially, breaking down those barriers, and that is what allowed Mother to spew forth Bob and whatever into our world.
Whatever else is in those little eggs, and we'll see some of that later. But I think that's it. We learned how to split the smallest thing known. So now we can split anything. And anything can tear apart and leak in or out.
Right. And it does. And going back to Gordon Cole having that image behind his desk, if he's been tracking this evil for a long time, presumably, and maybe he's figured out this is when it started. So again, it's like the genesis that we're the ones who allowed this to happen.
And that's the thing. If you can split the atom and create tears in time and space, you're going to have a lot of blue roses leaking in and out of your universe.
Exactly. This is just a big Pandora's box.
I have a Pantera's box you do not want to open. For those of you, please understand, I am quoting Mystery Men. I do know that it is Pandora, not Pantera. Thank you.
It's pretty funny. I forgot about that quote.
I have a Pantera's box you do not want to open. You mean Pandora? Please don't correct me. It sickens me. So yeah, you're gonna let anything you've split the atom. You can let anything in.
Yeah.
You know.
So well done, humans.
Oh, good job, monkeys.
Yeah, pretty much. So yep. So we're essentially responsible for Bob. So the giant says, "Okay, I guess I got things to do here. I have to clean up your mess."
Mm-hmm.
So okay, let me just float up to the ceiling.
He floats up to the ceiling.
He's all levitates up.
Yeah, and he's at a maybe, what would you say, like a 15, 20 degree angle.
Yeah, exactly.
He
starts going prone, and then, it just levitates.
Like he's just planking in the air.
Okay? Exactly.
So he's up there, and then all of a sudden, that ethereal mixture of fire, water, air, star stuff, atomic remnants,
stardust,
everything, lightning bolts, starts coming out of the top of his head.
Dogs and cats living together.
Mass hysteria.
Yeah.
And it sort of does remind you of the little indicator above the slot machines, little gold, flaming indicator thing. So this is just coming out of the back of his head, and while that's happening, it's just very slowly just leaking out of the top of him. And while that happens,
and it's very great. I mean, it's beautiful imagery.
It's beautiful. This really is the most beautiful thing I've ever seen on broadcast television.
Yeah, and then it kind of coalesces into a ball.
Into a gold ball. The gold ball is back.
Exactly.
And by this time, Señorita Dido has come into this theater and sees what he's doing, sees what he's been watching, and is just watching him as this happens. And she has this. And this is why Joy Nash is my new favorite thing, because I'm a big silent movie fan.
Right.
Big silent movie stuff.
She does have a silent movie actress vibe to her, doesn't she?
And I think the makeup helps that too, with all the eye makeup and the really dark red lipstick. Well, we don't know it's red, but it's
and the fact that she doesn't say anything. So yeah.
And she doesn't say anything, right? But that's the thing about, and I've always said this about the movie Sunset Boulevard, that Gloria Swanson looks like she's overacting until you turn the sound down. And then she's the only one you understand. Because that's what she knows. She knows how to act with her face.
She's emoting, she's projecting.
And Joy Nash's mouth is half open and her eyes are wide, and she's kind of like in love or in awe at what she sees. She looks as captivated and as in awe of what she's seeing as I am. I'm absolutely floored by what I'm watching at this point.
Right.
So she's watching this, and then very slowly the gold ball comes out of this ethereal mess that's coming out of the giant. Gold ball slowly floats down, and Señorita Dido slowly reaches up to catch the gold ball. And she catches it, and she kisses it.
Right.
And she looks, and she pulls it back, and she looks at it.
And whose face is there?
And who's looking back at her? It's Laura.
Laura Palmer.
Laura's in the gold ball. And so then she holds the ball above her head and lets it go into the air, where it floats up into this steampunky horn.
Like a tube.
Like a horn tube thing. Like a tube that looks
like a really distorted trombone type.
Right. Some sort of distorted horn, and it takes the ball and very slowly pushes it out into space towards Earth.
Right. It goes through the screen.
Yes, goes through the movie screen.
And then travels presumably to Earth. So,
yes.
Yeah.
And you can see it traveling towards Earth, and it kind of makes a little bit of a jag to go up into the northwestern part of the United States.
Right.
It needs to be. Mm-hmm. So this is leading me to believe.
Yeah, probably where I'm believing, but go ahead.
That we split the universe, which allowed Bob to come and be cursed upon us.
Right.
And the giant and everyone else in that part of the lodge sends us Laura to fight him.
Yep.
So it's the battle of good and evil.
Essentially, Laura is intended as the antibody.
Yes.
The antivirus to Bob.
The antidote, the Bob antidote.
Yeah,
and so
exactly. The white blood cell. But
yes.
But as we know, Bob ends up corrupting her. So was it an attempt that failed, or was it just part of the process? Is
it an attempt that failed, or is it part of the process?
You see what I'm going with that?
Yeah, or
like, is it maybe like, okay, you're led to believe that it was a failure because he killed her and she ended up in the Black Lodge, or is she not done yet? And as we know, she's missing.
Mm-hmm. She's definitely, in my opinion, she's definitely not done yet. And she is, think about the amount of people that might have been saved while Bob was focusing on Laura.
Right.
Just even from Twin Peaks, there's Ronette is still alive because he was paying attention to Laura. And anybody else who may have worked at that perfume counter or maybe went in the woods, or Andrew Packard.
Yeah.
Or anyone, is Laura.
You're saying Laura took Bob's attention off everybody else.
Yes, she did. She did what she could when she was there. And now that she's back in the ethereal plane, she still has work to do. Where is she? What is she preparing for? What is she doing? Is she coming back? And what's she going to bring with her when she comes back?
Right. Because the vibe that we got, we talked about this in the first 2 episodes, was that Laura was ripped out of the Black Lodge.
Mm-hmm.
So what ripped her out? Or was this just her fury?
Is it her fury, or is there something in there that is pulling the two together? That because it's about to go down with Bob, and Bob is about to do whatever he can to unleash himself on the world, Laura's got to come back. Laura's got to prepare to fight him, because that's the thing this episode showed us, that it doesn't matter how much cocaine or how much prostitution or how many boyfriends or how many nudie magazines Laura gets herself involved in. Laura is pure good. Laura is one of the purest things in this universe. And she's about the only thing that can fight the evil that was created at the same time she was.
And that's an interesting point you bring up, because that kind of makes me think of the end of Fire Walk with Me, mm-hmm. where she's there in the Black Lodge, but then she sees the angel and she smiles.
And she nods like, "Oh."
So maybe now she kind of understands what she is,
right?
Perhaps,
and what her purpose, beyond any corporeal, mortal coil she might find herself in, actually is.
So, we blowing your minds yet, everybody?
And again, I have since it's Thursday, this episode aired Sunday. I've watched this episode at least once a day.
Really?
Since it aired. Yes.
See, I've only watched it twice, but
I've watched it at least 5 times.
That's amazing.
At least 5 times, because like I said, the visual of this scene that we just described with the giant and Señorita Dido is so beautiful. I can't even do justice with it with a description or with words. It's the most beautiful thing I've ever seen on broadcast television. Yeah. And So, I mean, and it could very. I didn't think too hard about it. It could very well be the most beautiful thing I've ever seen committed to film.
Right.
But it's most definitely the most beautiful thing ever to be televised.
It's
unbelievable.
This is David Lynch doing art. For those who don't quite, I mean, you figure, oh, he's just throwing a bunch of nonsense out there. No. This was. I mean, this was an aesthetic choice. This is imagery presented, like trying to project, moods and to get you to a certain feeling as you watch this. And
this is David Lynch being David Lynch for the sake of beauty, rather than being David Lynch in order to disturb you, which he's done before with, say, Eraserhead or Wild at Heart.
When he kind of does that later in this episode, which we'll get into.
He does.
So essentially, yeah, we have the two sides. So for this sequence, is this like this fortress? No, I don't want to say a fortress, but this castle or what have you.
I think fortress is a good term for it, because not only is it up on top of a giant mountain, which, by the way,
right,
that mountain looks a lot like the memorial marker that's in the desert to indicate there's a stone obelisk in the middle of the New Mexico desert to commemorate where the Trinity test was done.
Really?
Oh, and it looks a lot like that mountain. It's bizarre.
Yeah. Well, that might be deliberate, because so what I'm wondering is, was this the White Lodge? Are we did we see the White Lodge at last?
Or did we see?
Or is this something else entirely?
Yeah, that's the thing, because if this
go away, I don't.
Oh goodness!
Sorry, I'm getting a call, and of course it's going to do.
Don't they know it's Twin Peaks time?
Yeah, I know. It's stupid. Should have just muted that phone. Sorry.
And if
sorry, everyone. Sorry.
That's all right. We've heard the Xan has to feed her cat alarm go off a couple of times. So it's forgivable.
Yeah. So, but if this is this White Lodge? If
it is the White Lodge, it is even more beautiful than anything I could have ever imagined. And I like I said, I have watched this at least 5 times. The first time I saw it, and she grabs that golden orb that has Laura in it.
With that look of joy on her face.
The first time I saw it, I just was like a little kid. And this is the sound I made. Oh. Little just sigh, like, oh. like I was a little kid that saw Willy Wonka's Chocolate Factory for the first time in my life.
So did you start crying when you saw Laura's face that first time?
The first time I was just so flabbergasted by the concept of it.
Were you just in awe?
Just my mouth was hanging open, and I just made this little little sigh kind of a thing. The third or fourth time I watched it, I sobbed my eyes out
because you knew what to.
Sobbing.
Now that you knew what to expect,
it was just so beautiful to look at. It was, and like I said, Joy Nash did such a wonderful job. Carel Struycken did such a wonderful job, and just the look of beauty and elation on her face. When she's looking into the face of pure goodness and everything that is right with the universe, just that look of pure joy that is on her face and pure hope. And then to pan back and to see that it's Laura is just so emotional for anyone who's ever gotten emotionally caught up in this show like I have.
Right.
So I just cried and cried and cried. And Chris came in. He's like, what's going on? I'm like, what? I'm going to remind you have to watch this. Just look at it.
So what did Chris think about it?
He's nowhere near as emotionally invested as I am, but he thought it was beautiful, and he looked at the ball and he's like, that's Laura. And he was impressed. He was very impressed. But yeah, this scene has just been playing over in my head for all day for the last few days. It's just so infectiously beautiful.
That's awesome. And for those who, obviously you can't see Xan's expression, but I can see it. And yeah, it's almost like that same look of joy that Señorita Dido has. That she just
if only
the way she's talking about it. I mean, this sensation of having watched this it's coming through. So trust me on this.
Well, and when we were talking in one of our earlier episodes about Fire Walk with Me,
right,
about how you can't not love Laura, and this is just this is the universe proving me right about that there is no way Laura isn't just everything wonderful.
It does make you rethink a lot of what you may have thought about Laura. Because now it's like, oh, was this all part of a plan? And we'll get into that a little more. So my whole expression as I watched this, like from the point we started doing the flashback onward to the end of the episode, my hand was on the side of my face. I'm just like staring, like, oh my God, what? Like I'm trying to like consume everything through my eyeballs.
Right.
I'm drinking all this in like it was, like I'm drinking deep from the well.
Drink deep from the well.
And descend. And I was descending.
That's what you do. And that's what I was saying at the beginning of the episode, that sometimes with David Lynch, just watch.
Right. And that's all I was doing. I mean, I was just like, I'm just staring at it.
It's just, and we don't often see David Lynch use his Lynch powers for beauty.
Right.
He's so often showing us some sort of seedy underbelly of the psyche. But when we see something beautiful, he's good. That's just, he's an incredible. He's just good. He's just really good. And he's. I don't know how he's ever going to top this. I mean, this was.
It's not often I get to see you being at a loss for words. But you are, and it's kind of amazing. It just shows how much you were affected by this.
That's because it's so visual. There's nothing you can't do anything.
You can't describe it.
You can't. Right. You just look at it. Just keep looking at it. That's all you got to do.
Okay. So at this point, we switched to a different sequence because
11 years later,
we advanced to August 5th, 1956, and where there's two things really going on. There's a sweet-looking teenage couple having a date.
No.
Or you want to do the where we have there's a couple of motorists on the road.
Nope. Even before that, here's what I want to talk about.
What do you want to talk about?
Have you ever seen Raising Arizona?
Yeah, I love Raising Arizona.
Well, then you probably remember the line, yeah, well, if a frog had wings, he wouldn't bump his ass a-hopping. Well, have you ever wondered what a winged frog would look like, Charles?
Yes.
You don't have to wonder anymore, do you?
Exactly. So, we
cut to the desert. We cut to the desert in 1956 in New Mexico again.
Presumably, this is where the egg landed.
Right, and this is one of those eggs that was in the mother glass box monster Garmin Bozia that had the bob placenta in it. It's one of those eggs, and it hatches, and by God, it's a frog and like a fly.
Yeah,
like a frog with wings that covers.
I thought it was more like a frog roach thing hybrid.
It's like a frog flying bug.
Yeah.
It's
ew. You would think something a little nicer would have crawled out of that, but apparently not.
Not out of Garmin Bozia that created Bob.
Well, is it? But presumably it's Laura, right?
No, it's not Laura. It's one of the eggs that was part of the Garmin Bozia. If you look close at the vomit, the Garmin Bozia.
Oh, see, I was thinking that this was the Laura's thing coming to Earth.
No, I don't think so. Because if you look inside the Garmin Bozia of the glass box monster mother,
right,
it has the Bob placenta.
I'm glad you're clearing this up for me because
it has little speckled eggs in it. A bunch of little eggs in it. And I think that's what this is. I think that this is an egg from that Garmin Bozea.
Oh, see, that would make more sense why, you have this creepy crawly thing coming out of that egg.
It was apparently creepy crawly town.
Yeah, pretty much. So, boy, now I have to rethink my theory now. Okay, we'll go into that. So, this thing is crawling around town. It's kind of crawls on the beach and it's kind of lurking around out there. So
it's learning how to fly. Its wings are drying off, and it's doing its little thing.
Its thing. Now, it'll turn up again later. We'll get into that. But, now I guess this is probably where we should talk about the motorists on the road.
Right. Well, we can start with the boy and the girl.
This
is very similar to a Twin Peaks kind of a town. You have this girl in a poodle skirt and this boy, with his slick back hair. They're on a little 1950s date.
Yeah, like she's
walking. Sort of small fucking.
He's walking her home.
Yes,
she finds a penny in the dirt. So
heads up.
So
it's good luck.
Yeah. So again, we have another coin motif.
So, and it looks like it's going to be just this, sweet little town full of sweet little people. But we do pass a gas station that looks like it could be that same one from 1945.
Right.
And there's nothing really freaky going on yet, but it looks like that same one that had the Dust Vultures and the strobe light action. So, anyway, yes, then we see a couple driving down the road.
Yeah, so basically, the guy tries to ask the girl for a kiss, which so he gets a kiss. She goes inside, presumably to go upstairs and go to bed.
Mm-hmm. It's nighttime.
And that's kind of where we leave her for now. And then, we cut to the couple on the road. And it's at this point, so we have the Woodsman, who's played by an actor named Robert Broski, who's best known for impersonating Abraham Lincoln, which is why he had the Lincoln-style beard going.
I can totally see that.
Yep. He does have a kind of Abraham Lincoln vibe to him. So, he's kind of like, it's at night, these motorists are driving down the road, and then they see a guy in the middle of the road. So they slow down.
And he's not just a guy, he looks like Dick Van Dyke and Mary Poppins, covered with soot.
Yeah, so it's the last guy. Like it basically looks like a coal miner just came out of the mines.
You remember that guy in the waiting room in Juice who died smoking in bed?
Yeah.
So he's just burned because he's a crisp.
Yeah.
Or Ratelli from the first Batman movie with Jack Nicholson.
Yeah, I'm glad you're dead.
I'm glad you're dead. He looks like that guy. He looks burned. Right. Like black soot.
Extra
burned.
Crispy, yeah.
Yes.
Who ordered the extra crispy?
Super crispy. Super crispy.
Yep.
Almost burnt. Cremated.
Yeah.
So he comes up on this couple.
Yeah. And we start hearing the buzzing, the electrical buzzing.
And
listen for the sound.
Listen for the sound. And that's what he's doing. He's walking up with a cigarette, asking people, "Got a light?"
Yep.
And he has this horrible crunching electrical.
Yeah, it's that buzzing,
he
does. It has kind of an unearthly voice.
Yes.
As well. So it's all gruff and everything. So they're freaked out, understandably. Then there's more of them.
Yes, more of them. More Dust Vultures come up on this car.
So again we have like Lynch doing like a slow down, horrific scream.
Right, and I can't tell if that's the Dust Vultures.
Kind of like when Maddie was killed.
Yeah.
By Leland.
True.
And Bob.
That's true.
But it's just that really slowed down, that guttural type of slowed down screaming.
Like when you're turning into a werewolf.
Right.
Like you do.
Yeah, as you do. Yes, exactly.
As one would do.
As one would do. So you know how it is, right? When you turn, I hate it when they turn into a werewolf.
You guys know how it is. Once a month, it always happens.
So they've managed to like weave their way out of there.
Yeah, they get out of there, and it's interesting too because the Dust Vultures move around slowly and so quickly, like they're leaving vapor trails of themselves.
Right, they're contrails.
Like, you know what they look like?
They're contrails.
Yeah, they look like that episode of Futurama where Fry's had 100 cups of coffee.
Yes, exactly. That's perfect analogy.
And he
you should have the little counter of coffee cups.
The counter down in the corner. How many cups of coffee have the burned up Dust Vultures
300
today? Maybe they'll save the Titanic too.
Exactly. So, but the Woodsman decides to take a little stroll through town. Ends up at the local radio station, KBJK.
Mm-hmm.
AM radio. Where he crushes the skulls of a receptionist and a DJ.
He doesn't just crush the skull of the DJ. He turns the DJ's head into a bowling ball.
Yeah.
Like he's got his fingers in his head.
He's digging his fingers into the guy's, the top of the guy's skull.
Right, and you even see it. He's got his hands on his skull, and then you see it in the back, and you see his fingers like come out of his head, like he turns the guy into a bowling ball.
Pretty much,
it's very, very unsettling.
It is, and the guy, and then of course, Lynch holds the camera on the guy as he's, the guy's just squirming and like he's just kind of stuck where he is,
and all you hear is squishing and crunching and dripping.
It's obviously a contrast from the previous sequence.
This episode shows you everything David Lynch can do when he uses his powers for beauty, or when he uses his powers to show you a dream of dark and disturbing things.
Exactly. Has his powers of good and evil.
Yes.
Yeah. So he starts. Yeah, this is where, and then the Woodsman grabs the microphone, holds it up really close, does the whole, this is the water, this is the well.
Drink full and descend. The horse is the white of the eyes, dark within. And he just says that over and over again.
Yeah. And so, it's this repetition. And at first you're like, okay, what is all this about? Then we kind of cut to a couple locations across town.
A really cool diner that I wish still existed.
A really cool diner that's named Pops, which I have to think is a nod to Archie Comics. Because
oh my gosh!
And of course, what actress is on Riverdale based on Archie Comics? Machen Amick.
That's right.
So I wonder if that's a little sly reference.
Stupid Riverdale punks think they're too good for me.
Exactly. So, but the waitress there, and it's like a '50s version of the Double R Diner. This diner,
right?
So the waitress there collapses, unconscious.
Yeah, pretty much everybody who hears this.
Yeah, including, as it turns out, we find out the girl from the date earlier.
But she's the only one that doesn't pass out.
She does pass out eventually.
No, she just goes to sleep. No, everybody else just sort of falls down where they are, like Dark City. Like it turns midnight and everybody just pauses.
You thought she just drifted off naturally. See, I thought she kind of like okay, she turned it on, she was listening to it, and then passed out.
See, it looked to me like she just was looking at the radio going, okay, this is weird, it's time for bed now. It looks like it looked like she purposely laid down to go to sleep.
Right. See, I didn't think it was purposely. I thought it was just
okay.
So the vibe I got is that okay, this whole mantra that's being delivered over and over is essentially like a sleeping spell.
Right.
And it's almost like an incantation to put people to sleep. And presumably this girl, because while she's asleep, oh, hey, you remember that icky, creepy, crawly creature? Well, guess what? In the most disturbing moment in this episode, and there was some strange moments in this episode, but this is probably the most disturbing one.
This is the worst one.
This is the worst one. So the girl's mouth opens, and the creepy crawly creature decides, hey, I think I'm going to shack up here, and crawls inside her mouth.
Ew. And then she sort of, her mouth kind of opens.
Yeah.
And she's asleep. Her mouth kind of opens, and she just closes her mouth, and then you just hear buzzing in her belly.
Yeah.
Like wings are flapping inside of her belly.
Yeah. So basically, this thing has claimed a host.
Mm-hmm.
For what purpose? Now you're saying though that it was the I want to say the mother's creature. So that
I think it's one of the eggs from the Garmonbozia.
Okay,
yeah, it looked to me like it was one of the eggs from the Garmonbozia.
Okay, so that's your theory. My theory is that if it's the egg containing Laura that was sent by the giant,
is that little girl Sarah Palmer?
That's exactly where I'm going. That the girl is Sarah Palmer.
Ah, interesting.
Yeah, so sorry, I couldn't resist that.
And you know what that does? That makes me think about Sarah Palmer alone in her house, watching nature programs.
Yeah, exactly. So my theory is that was Laura. Now, why it was a creepy crawly, I have no idea. But hey, it's Lynch, so who knows? But I was thinking that was the egg containing Laura, or the creature containing what's going to become Laura once Sarah Palmer gives birth to her. So I think that was because if you think about the age of Sarah Palmer, the timing fits really well. That girl could be Sarah Palmer.
It fits very well, exactly. And
so that's my theory.
That girl and the boy in the credits are just girl and boy.
Yeah.
They don't have names.
Right.
Ooh.
You like that theory?
That's got my brain working even harder than
now you're going to have to go back and watch that scene again.
Oh, man. You know what it makes me wonder, too? I want to watch the scene where Sarah is alone in her house watching the nature programs, and I want to see if there's buzzing.
Ooh, that's a good idea.
That maybe I missed.
That's possible.
Interesting.
You like that? And I gave you a little something to chew on there.
Yeah.
You have to roll that one around in your noggin.
Seriously, yeah.
Oh, I'm good at that. Yes.
Interesting. Yeah, because I thought it looked just like those eggs. So it was part of that.
I mean, I could see where you're coming from with it, and I think that's why I think I'm not going to totally discount your theory, because I think it could be, but if it is Laura, it would make sense that girl is Sarah Palmer.
But are we both right? Because is that boy Leland Palmer?
That's another theory.
And the reason I say that is because she seems, really kind of into him, and like she's really been keeping track of his movements.
Right.
So I thought you were going with Mary. No, that's over. Oh, good. And you live in town by the school, right? How'd you know that? I just know. So maybe maybe this is, oh my God, they are trying to create the Quetzalcoatl Haderach. Maybe that's what's going on. Maybe they meet.
And then Alicia Witt comes out. For he is the Quetzalcoatl Haderach.
But yeah, maybe there's something about the good and the evil fighting together in that sort of a way, because by that point, Leland has Bob in him.
Yeah.
Because Leland, that summer trip when he was a kid, that's when Bob got to him. So
yeah, because of the whole the neighbor that used to flick matches at him. Mm-hmm. Robertson,
yes. So maybe there's something that the evil has to find the evil, and then the good can fight it.
Right.
Ooh, maybe we're both something.
Yeah, maybe. Maybe.
Huh.
See,
time will tell.
See what you learn here on Ghostwood?
See the things we make you think about when you're trying to sleep at night, kids?
Exactly. Good luck sleeping at night. Sorry about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Close your windows. That's all I'm saying.
Got a light.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah.
That was another interesting thing, too, that we were just sort of, after everybody passes out and the credits are running and we're just seeing the desert, we hear horses, like a neighing horse in the background. The heck's that all about?
Well, remember, the horse is the white of the eyes.
Oh, man. Yeah.
And then, but
very deep it descends.
I was watching those closing credits, like waiting for something to happen, but it didn't happen. But just that girl, we just saw that girl there with knowing that things inside her going.
We just saw her sleeping with little wing buzzy noises going on in the back. Oh, poor thing.
Yeah.
Ew.
Yeah. That's gonna leave a bad taste. I mean, you might want to wash that down with something.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. So unfortunately, we have 2 weeks to wait. Well, now it's like 10 days as we're recording this, because we're recording this on a Thursday.
What?
Yeah, because of the holiday of Independence Day weekend, there's no Twin Peaks on Sunday.
Oh my gosh.
So we're gonna have a little bit of a wait. But
see, and I already hate the 4th of July.
Why do you hate the 4th of July?
A couple of reasons.
Fireworks or
I don't,
because I have a friend that hates fireworks.
Well, I don't have a nervous dog, so fireworks don't affect me that much. I am not a big fan of going somewhere to see fireworks. I prefer to have fireworks just happen. When I was a kid, and my mom and I will remember this till the day we die, it was just so fun. We were just out shopping at Gold Circle, of all places, if anybody remembers that.
Oh,
which
wow.
was like,
that's a blast from the past.
Yeah, it was like the dirty Target before there was Target.
It was like Kmart wannabe.
It was like Kmart, yeah, exactly. But it smelled like Target because it just smelled like, towels and soft pretzels.
And despair.
So we were there, we were walking outside, and there were just these people standing in the parking lot looking up, and they were fireworks somewhere in town. We don't know what they were for. It wasn't the 4th of July. There was no reason for them.
Right.
But just to be surprised by fireworks is so much more fun than having to drag my lawn chair to a crowded football field of a high school I either didn't go to or didn't want to go to when I had to.
Right. I know that feeling.
And deal with the heat and little kids and mosquitoes and spend 15 minutes watching fireworks. That's not a fun thing for me. Basically, the 4th of July is really hot.
Yeah.
And that's it. That's like all it is. It's just a hot day that everybody expects you to spend outside, and I just don't want to. I don't care. I don't care enough about fireworks. And Chris, my husband, grew outside of Washington, D.C.
Right.
So when we first started dating, I said, listen, I'm really not a big fan of the 4th of July. If you want to go see fireworks, I can tell you where we should go, but I just don't care. And he just looks at me, he's like, when you've seen the national fireworks, you're done. He was in Washington, D.C. in 1976. He's seen enough fireworks to last him for the rest of his life.
I'm sure.
So, yeah, and it's just, I just don't care. I don't need the, 4th of July blowout sale. I just don't want to be outside on the 4th of July.
I'm essentially like love it or leave it guy when it comes to fireworks. I could if you're going and I'm bored and I want something to do, okay, I will go we have here in Columbus Red, White, and Boom.
Oh, don't even start with me on Red, White.
I understand. I get it. But if it doesn't happen, I'm not upset. I've got things to do, so I'm good either way.
And if I see them, fireworks are cool to look at. Where Chris and I used to live in Upper Arlington, from our second floor, you could see Upper Arlington's fireworks from our window. So we could sit in our house with no bugs, no other people's children, no mosquitoes, no heat, no uncomfortable lawn chairs, and watch fireworks. And our cat would just sort of look around, wondering where the pops were coming from and wondering where the light was coming. Like, it was like fireworks to a cat
right.
is a gigantic laser pointer in the sky. So
looking around, all excited, stimulated. What?
So she wasn't like a nervous dog that needed, a thunder shirt or something like that. If any of you have dogs and you've tried the thunder shirt, let me know how it works. I've been curious about that. Who doesn't, hide under the sofa? She's just curious about it and just sort of weirded out. So it's not like I have to be too terribly concerned.
Right.
My neighborhood is fairly quiet about it because we do have a lot of dogs. I'm not sure if we have a lot of veterans living around who would take issue with it. I also think when people set off fireworks in their driveways, especially here in Ohio, where anything interesting is illegal.
Yes.
You're just trying to make noise when you're drunk. I'm not interested. I'm not interested in you making noise or watching your smoked snakes on the sidewalk while you're drinking. Especially this year, now that Zima is back in the stores for however long that lasts.
Oh, it is? I didn't know that.
Yeah, Zima has made a limited time comeback.
because there was a screaming demand for Zima.
Maybe that's the. Are we just ripe for 90s nostalgia that much that Zima decided to come back?
Yeah, probably. Well, it's just those people that were, young enough, now that they're older and more in positions of power, they can say, "Oh yeah, well, I love that. Let's bring that back." I'm waiting for Bartles and James to make a comeback. Wine coolers.
That I would do.
Bartles and James wine coolers.
Or Seagram's golden wine coolers. Those were because Zima and wine coolers. That's what you drink before you drink. Yeah. When you're like 19.
Yeah.
But everybody I've seen that has wanted to get Zima has come home with like 2 or 3 cases of it.
Right.
Because they're like, hey, I found some. So, and some people aren't able to find it. So yeah, it's this big mad dash to see if you can find, like when Surge came back out, people were ordering it from Amazon and, or when Crystal Pepsi came back out for 10 minutes, which that was a bad idea in 1992. I don't know why.
I was going to say, I didn't like Crystal Pepsi back then.
Crystal Pepsi didn't taste like 7-Up and didn't taste like Pepsi. It was some sort of unholy love child in the middle. It was not.
It was the spawn of mother.
But everything back then was see-through. Yeah. We clearly Canadian. We had clean and clear face wash, and there was some clear shampoo, and then we had Crystal Pepsi, but we had purple ketchup. Go figure.
Okay, so we've shifted from fireworks to Crystal Pepsi.
What am I going to do on Sunday? There's no American Gods, and now there's no Twin Peaks.
Yep.
Actually, you know what? I'm happier knowing this now
and Preachers
than on Sunday.
Monday. Preachers on Monday, but
but that's Monday.
Yeah.
What am I supposed to do all night on Sunday?
I don't know. I guess you can rewatch part 8.
I'm gonna.
Yep. And now you can look. Now you can go. Sarah Palmer. Ooh.
That's a head scratch. I didn't even think about that.
You're welcome.
Thank you. I thought this was something completely new that we were going to find out about, but why would it be? So
who knows? All right. Yeah. So rating. Do you have a rating for this episode?
Oh, absolutely. This is a 10 out of 10 Golden Laura orbs.
That works perfectly. I gave it a 9 out of 10, only for the simple fact that I want to know what happened with Cooper. Doppelganger with Cooper. That kind of frustrated me. I was like, you can't leave me hanging like that.
Well, I will admit that before I completely fell in love with this episode and joined the cult of episode 8.
Yes.
My first initial thought...
One of us.
Turn me into the chicken lady. I'm coming with the episode 8 people. That's where I live now, is in episode 8. So when I see the Trinity test, and that it's 1945, and then I see the giant, as much as I love the giant, my first thought was, we don't have time for this.
Right. Get on with it.
Right. My first initial thought was, come on, I don't have time for this. I want to know what's going on. And then as I started watching, I was like, I see what you're getting at here, David Lynch. I'm just going to sit back and let you do your David Lynch thing.
I didn't think it was possible.
I can understand that.
I didn't think it was possible for him to out Eraserhead, but he did.
And it's so much more enjoyable to watch.
It is. It is.
Because Eraserhead is so beautiful, but so disturbing.
It is. It's one of those. Eraserhead for me is a movie you have to watch at like 2 a.m. in the morning.
Okay, here's what I need you to do.
Yeah.
I need you to go on YouTube or Google, and I want you to find Bruce McCullough of The Kids in the Hall.
Right.
He has a song called Eraserhead.
Oh, I need to hear that.
And it's about how you should watch Eraserhead. He takes like a week off of work and he watches Eraserhead, and just over and over and over again it's my vacation. And one of the things he says, and then 2 days in, I order a pizza. I don't eat it. I just order it to prove that I'm still in control.
That's awesome.
It gets a little disturbing towards the end of the song, but it's actually a very funny song.
Very fitting for a Eraserhead song.
Yeah, I'll see if I can find it out there. But yeah, Bruce McCullough has got a couple of comedy records where he does some sketches and some comedy songs, and they're very funny. And that one is probably my favorite. Is his Eraserhead song.
That's great.
That's what we can do on Sunday night now that we don't have Twin Peaks to watch.
There you
jerks.
Go. There you go.
Showtime.
Yeah. Well, actually, that works out good for
me.
me.
I'm sorry, Showtime. I love you for bringing up Twin Peaks. I'm not mad. I promise.
You just went all passive-aggressive there. That's great.
I totally did.
Yeah. 8.5 mushroom clouds is my rating.
Well, it just was a 9 a second ago.
Oh, that's sorry. You're right. I did bump it up.
Are you just getting madder thinking about how much?
No. I forgot I bumped it up to 9. So 9 mushroom clouds.
All right.
So that's my rating.
That works.
So
yes, I can understand, because that, like I said, that is what I'm really dying to know. Are his eyes, in fact, still black? Because they sure looked like it to me.
Now, granted, it could be just because it was nighttime, but who knows? But I'm kind of leaning toward you on that one, because your theory, because I don't think the Dougie stuff is taken care of yet. I think there's more Dougie stuff to come. So.
Because that's the thing. It's like, it might be nighttime, but with the newfangled technology that Hollywood has these days, you can make anybody's eyes look bright no matter what time of day it is.
Exactly. Well, remember my theory about that I think I offered last week was that because of Dougie and the news crews, that somehow those news report, and that's how Dougie / Cooper's image is going to hit the news and get the word out to Gordon. So
Douglas Jones looked like a cobra.
He moved like a cobra. Yeah, which is one of the greatest quotes. So yeah, we have to wait 10 more days to new Twin Peaks.
I don't want to do
that. So you might have to wait a little bit for the next Ghostwood, but then we're going to talk about the Return Part 9. So just hang in there. Maybe you could go back and do Ghostwood retrospective, guys, or something.
Yeah, that's what we could do.
Exactly. So catch up if you've missed some episodes. But yeah, that would be great. And
or just watch them again.
Watch them again. Yeah, who knows?
See what how like when you watch something, you're like,
yep.
Maybe we've got some of those in episodes 1 through 7 that we haven't been aware of yet.
Maybe we did.
Oh, that is something I wanted to bring up, and I forgot about it until just this second.
Yes.
Did you see that picture I posted on Ghostwood?
Which
Woodsman
picture?
Versus Woodsman?
Oh, yes, I did.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's referring, what Xan's referring to is the kind of like really fake beardy guy in Fire Walk with Me that was in the meeting, that supernatural meeting with that presumably above.
I've been to one of their meetings.
Right, presumably above a convenience store where Bob and the arm. Oh,
I forgot about that.
Yeah.
I completely forgot about that until you just said it. Oh my God. Okay.
You're welcome.
Okay.
You're welcome.
My mind is even more blown.
It goes all scanners.
Oh, I am totally scanners right now. That is Ironside. Where are you? Where are you, Michael? Where are you? You're in here somewhere.
Well, he's out hunting the V aliens, probably, or something.
Oh yeah, that's what he does.
Yeah.
So yeah, the meeting in Fire Walk with Me,
or ruling Apocalypse, because hey, he was Darkseid too.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah, he was great as Darkseid. So yeah.
So
anyway, Michael Ironside reference. Go ahead, take it for what you will. But so we're gonna do. We'll be back 10 days presumably for now. Or...
No, we're still talking about the Woodsman.
Oh, we're gonna talk. Oh yeah, we want to talk about the Woodsman. So yeah, so we'll talk about the Woodsman. So yeah, so Fire Walk with Me. So is this the same like Woodsman from The Return Part 8?
That's the thing, and if you guys remember him, he's the one that was just sort of sitting in the corner.
Yeah.
And like kind of like
he raising his arm up, and yeah.
Yeah, it's like his hand and his knee are like playing yo-yo with each other.
Now he wasn't as nearly as sooty and dirty.
That's the thing. But again,
this was like 1992.
Right, and so maybe he's cleaned up a little bit since 1945.
Or maybe they've just kind of, reworked how they wanted that character to look.
I don't know, and I don't know if they're the same guy. I don't know if it's a coincidence or not, but
it's a possibility because we still don't know what that guy was.
We have no idea what that guy was, other than hot.
Yeah,
that guy was played by Jürgen Prochnow,
right?
Who is pretty much why any guy ever has been able to get his girlfriend to sit through Das Boot. But I love Jürgen Prochnow. I absolutely love him, and so he's Duke Leto in Dune.
Yes,
and he's the head of the terrorist
group.
Remember the Tooth. Yeah, he's the head of the terrorist group that's trying to kill the president in Air Force One when the president is Harrison Ford.
Right.
And
Get off my plane.
Get off my plane. And he's also in one of my all-time favorite movies that should have been better than they were.
Yes.
The Keep.
I don't think I've seen that one.
Oh, it's so good. It's got Jürgen Prochnow.
I gather.
And Gabriel Byrne. It's like a movie full of life. But it's directed by Michael Mann, who is pretty much the king of taking books you love and turning them into movies that should have been better.
Right. Like Manhunter.
Exactly like Manhunter.
Because Manhunter, the version of Red Dragon that wasn't Red Dragon, but hey.
Yes. Which does,
the Miami Vice version of Red Dragon, as I like to call it.
Uh-huh.
Because Michael Mann was the creator of Miami Vice.
Exactly. So, however, I will say that like The Keep, Manhunter does have fabulous people in it. I think one extremely underrated actor is Tom Noonan, who is Francis Dollarhide in Manhunter.
Oh, yeah.
And I think he's extremely underrated. I think he's wonderful. I love him. But yeah, The Keep. I would definitely recommend The Keep. I know it's on Amazon Video. I don't know if it's on Netflix, but I know Amazon has it.
Okay. Thanks for the recommendation.
Yeah. So, but we don't know what's up with that other guy. So where are these woodsmen coming from? And it's obvious. I always just thought it was a Pacific Northwest thing. But these
guys were in New Mexico.
I know, that's the thing. So these guys, we find that they've been in New Mexico since the 40s. So right. Head scratcher.
And then they're in South Dakota with Doppelganger Cooper.
Right.
So they're traveling.
Exactly.
They're hard traveling woodsmen.
Maybe they're the eggs. Maybe they're in the eggs too.
Possibly.
I don't know, because there were a lot of eggs in that Garmin Bozia.
Yes, there were. There has to be more spirits out there.
Something. Yeah, something. Anyway, yes. So if we decide to skip next week, we'll see you guys after episode 9. Yeah. See you guys. We'll talk at you guys after episode 9.
Now, if you really need to talk, we could definitely talk. We can always record something in the meantime. But
that's true. We could spend our Sunday.
I'll leave that up to Xan.
Without Twin Peaks, watching all the previous episodes.
Right.
Seeing what we can catch. So
a recap until now.
If we uncover something that we think is just mind blowing, we will shove in a bonus episode.
Right. It's like, we got to talk about this.
It's also really hot outside, and that makes me lethargic. So I'm not promising anything.
Fair enough. No pressure.
In the meantime,
yes,
if somebody wants to talk to us about our theories, where should they do that?
Well, obviously the best place to do that is you can email us at ghostwoodpodcast@gmail.com. Or you can reach us on the Twitter machine at @ghostwoodcast, which all the crazy cool kids are doing, so you better do that. Or you can reach us on our Facebook page, Ghostwood, the Twin Peaks Podcast. We're up to 38 likes. We could be up to more.
Come on, let's get it to 50 by the 4th of July.
That would be great. So we got plenty of
room.
Bring
up to 50 for America.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, that would be great. And Xan, where can they reach you?
Well, I am on the Facebook, Xan Sprouse.
Yes.
And I am on the oft-neglected Instagram as Udinax19. And I am on the Twitter as Udinax19, which, by the way, is where I reached out to Joy Nash.
I
did. I told her how amazing I thought she was. I said, congrats on being center stage in the 15 most beautiful minutes in television history.
Did she respond?
Yeah, not only did she like it, she said, "Oh my God, thank you so much. This made my night." So
that's awesome.
Now I'm in this new.
You're in the Joy Nash Club.
I am. I'm in this sort of hero worship, glowing.
Yeah.
Moment here. So yes.
If you cosplay as Señorita Dido, you need to probably take a photo and send it to her.
Seriously, I am totally.
I don't know who I would be, but
we could think about that. We could shave your head.
Yeah, there you go.
Golden wires, and then you could be
the giant.
That'd be good. But
I'm 5'7". Yeah, I'm the giant.
Well, I'll stand.
Really?
We'll get you.
I'll give me a milk crate or something to stand on.
Yeah, we'll get you something to stand on. It'll be fine. I'll kneel down.
Or just kind of hang me from the ceiling, levitating me.
That's the thing. Nobody knows how tall you are when you're hanging up in the air at a 20-degree angle.
Yep, that's true.
Where can people find you, Charles?
They can find me on the Twitter machine at Charles Skaggs, or on the Instagram, same place, at Charles Skaggs. Or Facebook, of course, Charles Skaggs, conveniently enough. Google Plus for all you crazy kids in the Google Plus. And my blog of geeky things.
I hope it doesn't work.
Damn good coffee. And hot.
Darn it, it worked perfectly.
Damn good coffee and hot.
Now I have to go make the Price is Right noise on my own. Oh, well.
You mean this noise?
Oh, that's my favorite.
I do that just for you.
I think I love it more now that it's Archer's ringtone.
That's right. I forgot about that.
Isn't it like his ringtone for Cyril or something like that?
Something like that. That sounds about right. So yeah, my blog of geeky things, Damn Good Coffee and Hot, where I talk about Ghostwood and Twin Peaks and all kinds of cool comics and sci-fi goodness. And my other two podcasts, Next Stop Everywhere, the Doctor Who podcast, which I do with Jesse Jackson, and we're just wrapping up Doctor Who Series 10. We'll be recording that on Sunday. And then the Fandom Zone podcast, which I do with Karen Lindsay, where we discuss comic book on TV shows. This week we're going to be talking Preacher, the first two episodes of the second season, and we're going to be talking about the final two episodes of iZombie. So check that out.
Are you guys talking about American Gods?
We are not talking American Gods because that wasn't really a comic book, but
that's true. Good point.
But my friend Jesse does have an American Gods podcast called Roadside Attractions, which I recommend. So you might want to check that out if you're an American Gods fan. But American Gods is awesome. So
here's the thing: I feel kind of bad for American Gods because American Gods.
It came on at the wrong time.
Well, up until May 20th, it was the best TV show on television.
And then everybody that was a Twin Peaks fan just like, okay, you just got backburnered, American Gods.
And because it's
no offense,
opposite.
but
it's opposite Twin Peaks.
Yeah.
So as soon as that happened, we're all like, okay, we'll see you Monday.
I still love you. I still love you, but Twin Peaks.
You have that sort of like casual relationship with that, guy that goes to the coffee house with you. But then like the guy you really love comes back into town for like a month or so. And you're like, dude, he and I are going to hang out for a while.
American Gods is essentially the booty call. And and then Twin Peaks is like the old ex-girlfriend that you just can't resist.
Yeah, American Gods is the new boyfriend, and Twin Peaks is your first love.
Exactly.
You're back in town and you're divorced, you say. That's Twin Peaks right now.
Exactly. So on that note, I think
that guy just drop everything for the second he says he has an hour driving through town when he has to go to Indianapolis for work. You're like, oh, okay, I'll meet you for coffee for 15 minutes.
Yeah. The Twin Peaks is that special someone you text message on the side when nobody's looking.
Yeah, it's that first love that every time you see them, you're just sort of happy and you don't know why.
Or that you call on a separate burner phone.
Yeah, that's why you still have a murder phone from when you first got a cell phone and you were cheap.
Exactly.
You just still kept it. You just pay on it every time he's going to be around. Or you see on Facebook Twin Peaks has gone from in relation to it's complicated. You're like, oh, let's load the phone up again.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you're stalking Twin Peaks on Facebook.
Yeah, exactly. Trying really hard not to like too many photos because you're looking through all of them.
Yeah, exactly. All right.
Yes, just like.
So I think it's safe to say we both have a very disturbed relationship with Twin Peaks. But
Twin Peaks for me is always going to be that first love that everybody knows is I know she loves me. American Gods is like, I know she loves me now, but Peaks.
We've got history.
Yeah, I just can't compete with Twin Peaks.
Yeah,
so.
Exactly. All right.
Yeah,
so
a friend of mine
poor American Gods.
American Gods is so good. Yeah. If it was just on Thursdays or something,
right?
But it just the thing.
Or 10 p.m. Would it killed it? Would it have killed it to just push it back to 10 p.m.? No, I mean they did repeat it, but still.
Yeah, still, but God bless the DVR because that way I don't have to make Sophie's choice.
Yeah, exactly.
With the two best shows on television right now.
Right.
But yeah.
All right, so just gotta hang in there. Maybe we'll record a special interim episode, but if not, come on back here in about 10 days or so, and we will talk The Return Part 9.
Yay!
Right here on
Bye,
Ghostwood.
everybody.
Bye.
Happy 4th of July.